Hi guys. So I'm Francis and this is Hoku. So for this little yoga, 15-minute yoga flow I'm teaching for you guys, it's not going to be really a flow. Today is going to be more of a workshop. So in a lot of classes you see people do inversions, some of the harder stuff, and you're like, oh, that's crazy. But it's really not that crazy once you break down the pose. So today I'm going to be going through tripod headstand. So this is a very common inversion. For a lot of people, it's the first inversion that they go through. Now, I'm going to be doing it just in my space. If you'd like, you can always be right next to a wall if you are afraid of falling down, which I completely recommend doing once you start. So the thing about tripod headstand is that it's a lot of pressure on your neck. So you want to make sure you approach this very carefully. Tripod headstand's called tripod because you're going to make a tripod between your two hands and your top of your head. So first and foremost, you need to know exactly where you want to be on your head, mostly because you want the floor to hit right on the crown. You don't want to do this, have it too far back. You don't want to do this too far forward because of all that pressure it'll put by having that kink in your neck. So to find the crown of your head, first, heel of the hand right at your brow. Slowly let your hand go up where your middle finger ends. That's the crown of your head and where you're aiming to put onto the mat. Another common thing a lot of people do is they end up placing their hands and their head way too close together. Now, in some yoga styles, that is one of the headstands. In Ashtanga yoga, there is actually 7 headstands. I call them the 7 headstands of death because they are very tricky. But, so you want to make sure it's a triangle. Tripod, try. Hi, Hoku. This is Hoku, by the way. I'm sure you guys, if you've seen my other videos, you've seen him. So, first and foremost, picture the triangle on your mat. Next, you want to make sure your head is comfortable. Once you're really seasoned, you can do it on a hard surface. I would never, personal choice, personal preference. Now, so from here, I'm just gonna fold my mat up, give me more cushion here at the front of my mat. If you'd like, you can always have a towel, a pillow, something to cushion your head, but you don't want it to be too thick because then you're not gonna feel stable, which is not good. So, prep poses for this headstand. The first one's actually going to be something that you see a lot. It's going to be your chaturanga. So in chaturanga, you go from high plank, chaturanga. Notice that the arms make a 90-degree angle, hugging into your ribs. That part's not so important here. So with the 90-degree angle, that's going to be important so you have a lot of support for your body. And I did say high plank is one of the prep poses, mostly because it's a wonderful core exercise. If you can do a handstand or a headstand, anyone that can do it will tell you it's a lot more core work than you think. The core is actually what keeps you up. So, core work's good, arm strength is good. You're also going to be pressing into your wrists. So I'd recommend stretching out your wrists a little, maybe just making a little prayer with your hands and slowly opening it outwards, putting the back of your hands together, bringing it down and around, and repeating that a few times, both directions. You really want your wrist to be nice and fluid. So if my head is going to go right here, notice my hands are nowhere near there because that will put a lot of stuff into one plane. We want the support of the tripod. So your hands are a little far back, picturing the triangle that you're going to be making. So from here, you can start in a tabletop position or even a plank, whatever you call for today. And you're gonna place your head right there. So I'm starting with a little forward and then rolling my head back to right on the crown. And then just start here, straighten your legs. And this can be where you start, just to feel comfortable in the pose. And then maybe you walk your feet in a little closer. Maybe you just place one knee on one elbow, using it as a shelf. And then maybe you can place both knees on your triceps. This is already tripod headstand. So that's your beginner tripod. Yes, your legs aren't up, but we all have to start somewhere. So you keep doing that. One knee, one tricep, one knee, other tricep. Maybe both knees, both triceps. What's up, Hoku? So from there, head down, feet up, legs up. Then maybe you squeeze your core and you raise up. Maybe not. Maybe you could just bring one leg up. But like I said, try it against a wall first. That way it takes away some of the fear. Because a lot of the yoga that we do, you're totally capable of it. But it's really just the fear that's stopping you from trying a little harder. Like I said, a wall's great. So, you saw tripod headstand. Now, did you notice, if you've been to one of my classes, you know tripod headstands, an inversion. It was my first inversion, actually. Another fun pose, little complicated, is crow pose, which is a lot of people's first arm balance. Arm balance, just as hard as an inversion, except you're not really upside down. Now, in tripod headstand, we made that triangle. Crow pose is very similar. So you're gonna place your hands roughly right under the shoulders, tabletop pose. So notice that. And a lot of practice on crow pose will be your chaturanga. So focus on bringing yourself down, really strengthening the arms, bringing your arms down to 90-degree angles, and back up to tabletop. If this is a simple enough drill for you, you can go from high plank to chaturanga, back up to plank. Now notice that in yoga, the chaturanga low push-up, your elbows are always coming down to that 90-degree angle. You're not opening out to the side. It's a completely different movement. We want to keep the shoulders squared with the front of our body, and we go from there. And once you feel like I've really worked out your shoulders enough, I personally find entering crow pose to be easiest from your yoga squat, malasana. So with your feet a little wider than your hips, so this is hip. A lot of you like to think this is hip. I mean, this is probably where your malasana will be. So legs wider than hips, heels in, toes out, whatever's comfortable for you. Don't try to go full ballet on me, but you know, comfortable, wide-legged. And you just sit your butt down, palms together, elbows pressing your knees out. So once you find your malasana squat, trying to get your butt as close as you can to the floor, you're gonna place your hands right in front of your body, and then Once your hands are placed on the floor, you can either have your knee hug onto the outside of your tricep, or maybe you can have your knee on the inside on the tricep, or maybe you can even have your knee up into your armpit. It all depends on how open and loose your hips are. Different people, crow pose is different. Assess your body and see how you're feeling that day, and that's where your crow pose will be. So once you're in your yoga squat, hands down onto the mat, and then you're going to stare toward the front of your mat. And it's a lot of leaning forward, okay? It is a power move. There is strength involved. I'm not going to say there's not. But a lot of it is actually the tilting of your body forward, the shifting of the weight. And honestly, you're only like, your face is only like 6 inches from the floor, so it won't hurt too much if your face plants. And it's just like tripod headstand. You practice with one leg, second leg, maybe both. So you place your hands on the mat, and maybe you lift one foot, maybe you lift two, and maybe if you practice a little more, both. Seeing if you can hold it. So, hands on the mat, shift forward, one leg, 2 legs. And so, you just want to play and see, can I get crow for 1 second, for 5 seconds, for 10 seconds? And crow's really fun because crow's a great transitional pose. So from crow, almost fell. From crow, the traditional exit of crow is to shoot back into chaturanga. So crow, chaturanga. But like I said, crow is a good transition. So I had you practice that drill for tripod headstand. Once you're in your squat, ideally your heels are down. Right now my hips are a little tight. I just took a spin class, sorry. But hands down, you're gonna enter your crow, head down, tripod, chaturanga. Now, admittedly, that is advanced. But I've seen some of you guys in my classes, and you are so good. You are so much better than that. Now I'm just looking around. If you have a block or books or anything you can use as a prop, some people like to place it under the booty when they're in the squat. And then, once they're up, you balance your arms on you balance your knees on your arms, and you can use this to keep your feet up as a support in your crow. So that's nice because your feet are on stable ground. And that's how traditionally they teach it to people. For me, I identify with a lot of you. The face planting is honestly what I was the most afraid of learning this pose. So instead of placing my foot, my block under my tush, I actually place my block or books or pillows or something sturdy. This is actually a box for something I ordered from Amazon. So literally you guys can use anything. So you place your hands on the floor, and then you just place your forehead on your new makeshift prop. And if your face is already on the block, there's literally no way you can face plant. And that's my secret to how I learned my crow pose. So I know these are without a doubt advanced poses. I'd say they'd be level 3 poses. but I know some of you have wanted to try them because you've been to my class. So there's prep. Honestly, the best prep for both of them is to do your vinyasas and try your best to go from halfway lift to hands plant, chaturanga. And then maybe you add some yoga push-ups. So, because both of the poses, lots of core, lots of arm work. Another tip in your crow pose, if you find your knees are really far from where you think they should be, there's a good chance they might be. It's one of the reasons we do cat-cow at the beginning of class, because if you can learn to dome your shoulders, push your body back, that creates a lot more space here, and your leg can land a lot higher than if your back wasn't ready. So that was my quick 15-minute yoga tutorial today, going through tripod headstand and crow pose. If any of you are trying, I hope this helps. If you have any questions, just reach out and we'll be sure to get back to you. Thanks.